Hi, this is Representative Alana Rubel, the House Democratic leader here in the Idaho State House, and I am back with the Democratic Debrief, where we fill you in on what's been happening in your state government. This is our first week back. We just kicked off the 2022 session, so there haven't been a lot of bills brought yet, but we did have the governor's State of the State address, and we Democrats gave our response to that State of the State address. First, I want to set the stage, because there was a lot of talk about this quote, $1.9 billion surplus, which is a characterization I've really been fighting against, because it's not a surplus if it is a result of dire and, in my opinion, irresponsible underfunding of vital needs. In your own homes, if you didn't pay your mortgage and you didn't pay your utility bills, you might have a lot of money in your checking account, but you wouldn't call that a surplus, and you certainly wouldn't think it was time to do a victory lap for your amazing financial management skills. That's where we are as a state. Idaho is, as you know, last in America in per pupil education funding. We are one of only 4 states that have no early childhood education. We are not offering full-day kindergarten to students across the state at a state level. We have a foster care system on the brink of collapse due to systemic underfunding. We have over 1,500 bridges that are in serious need of repair at an estimated cost of over $2 billion. We have a dire housing crisis with not one penny in our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We have a total lack of affordable childcare, which is creating a workforce crisis. And we have only 18% of the emergency medical service directors across the state who say they're adequately funded. That means in many parts of the state, if you have a heart attack or a stroke or a serious accident, they are having to rely on volunteers, and you are very likely to not get a timely ambulance arriving to save you. And that's before we even get into the property tax crisis, which is driving many from their homes, in particular fixed income seniors. So we have really serious problems that need addressing. And we think that those things need to be taken care of first before we start launching into giant income tax cuts for the wealthy and well-connected. Unfortunately, as you'll hear more from my colleague Lauren Necochea, our Republican colleagues saw it differently and decided to charge in less than 48 hours with their very top priority and bring an income tax cut where almost all of the money will go to the wealthy and most profitable corporations. But in terms of what our priorities are as Democrats this session, we want to fix a lot of those real problems, and we want to bring actually some tax cuts. We just want to make sure they go to the people that actually need them. We want to restore education funding and ideally get ourselves out of last place. We want to bring full-day kindergarten funding to the state. We would like to restore funding to the foster care system so that we have the number of personnel, so we have the social workers. These kids have experienced serious trauma, and we need serious professionals and enough of them to fix that system. We want to fix in-home caregiver rates so that seniors can actually remain in their homes and get the care they need there, as opposed to having to go to institutions simply because the state isn't paying enough for caregivers to come show up at their houses. We want to fix that emergency medical provider situation so that we do have ambulances and skilled personnel to come help you if you ever fall or have a heart attack or stroke. We support the higher ed budget. We would like to see it increased. We have many proposals to meaningfully reduce property taxes. That's a whole separate subject that we're probably going to do a separate video on, but we have a lot of ideas that would really meaningfully bring property taxes down, and we think that's a very top priority. And we also want to take a really good look at grocery tax repeal. These are some forms of tax relief that we think would actually get to working people who need it, as opposed to this income tax path that the Republicans want to take, where, as I said, very, very little money will get to working families that actually need it. So those are our priorities. You will hear more from us as the session progresses on how it all unfolds. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, I'm Senator Melissa Wintrow, reporting here from Boise's District 19. This week marks the end of week 1 of Idaho's legislature being in its regular session. All quiet in the Senate, not much going on, but as you see in the House, the first bill was introduced right out of the gate, and that's an income tax rebate that helps the richest among us and not really helpful for the poorest. And we know in an income tax rebate, you're going to hear more about it, it does not really help proportionally the folks who need it most. What we really need is a grocery tax repeal and real property tax relief. That's what the people want. And I still can't get a good answer out of anyone about the stalling on the property tax. So I'm hopeful that we Democrats will continue to push that and folks will listen, but we have to address that. Speaking of property taxes, I do want you to know a bill I'm working on. I tried to do last year, got killed in the House by 2 votes. I'm trying hard again. But it's to provide real property tax relief for in-home caregivers. It's a simple bill just to let them apply for the circuit breaker without counting the Medicaid benefits toward their income. It's pretty simple, and it would help a lot of people. Especially November was In-Home Caregivers Appreciation Month, acknowledged by Governor Little. So I'm hoping to get some support on that. The other bill I'm working on, I think a lot of people are interested in, is removing racially restricted language in home covenants and deeds. Going back into the history of redlining and how we actually allowed folks to borrow money and who we determined could live in our neighborhoods. In our own state, we have language on deeds and covenants that say that the only folks that can live there are white. This group of great stakeholders I'm working with, we're looking to address that so we can remove that and acknowledge the wrongs of the past and move forward with the rights of the future. So those are just a few bills that I'm working on, and I hope that you're doing well and staying safe. I'm trying to protect myself from the COVID outbreak and will remain diligent in my duties. So be well.
Hi, I'm Representative Lauren Necochea, representing District 19. This session got off to a wild start with the first bill out of the gate being a very dramatic income and corporate tax cut that's going to be very costly and will take other opportunities off the table. This bill is a copycat of what the GOP passed last year. It's very lopsided, delivering huge benefits to people at the top of the income spectrum and very little for everyone else. It is so costly, though, that this also takes opportunities off the table, like reducing our property taxes in a meaningful way, or finally talking about repealing the sales tax on groceries. Those are policies that are very popular, and I think Idahoans can intuit and understand that those are policies that help build the strong, thriving middle class that then fuels our local economy. When our working families have dollars in their wallet that they can spend locally, that's what helps our economy grow in the long run. We will continue to fight for more options and better options for Idaho's families when it comes to tax policy. We also saw the GOP unnecessarily limit our opportunities this week with a politicized revenue estimate. The Tax Commission estimates that this current year will have a 7.2% revenue growth, but the governor forecast came in at half that at 3.6%. And we know he likes to tout so-called surpluses. All that really means is that revenue came in above politicized projection. And that's not what Idahoans deserve. Idahoans deserve fair, honest math, and they deserve to have all of the options on the table when it comes to budgeting, not money swept away through fuzzy math. For example, the governor didn't include any funds for increasing property tax assistance to seniors through our circuit breaker program in his budget. We're going to have to find new dollars to be able to do that, and this lowball estimate really takes those opportunities off the table potentially. So we Democrats will continue fighting for sensible tax policies that help our working families and for accurate math. Thanks so much.